watching Flip TV News. I am Okoyemi Olugbemi. Here are the headlines. Federal government issues warning to NLC over planned illegal protests. NLC threatens total shutdown if protesters are attacked. Civil groups kick off nationwide protests in Lagos over hardship. Now the news in details. The presidency again warned the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC on Sunday not to embark on its two-day nationwide protest against the rising cost of living in the country. The special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, handed down the warning. He said there might be a possible hijack of the procession, arguing that it could worsen the deteriorating situation. The NLC President Joe Ajaero had insisted in a statement on Sunday that the protest will be held on Tuesday and Wednesday as planned. On February 16, the NLC announced the nationwide protest scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday over the alleged government's failure to implement agreements reached between both parties on October 2, 2023, following the removal of the fuel subsidy. The decision followed the conclusion of a 14-day ultimatum issued to the federal government to implement measures against the widespread hardship. Ononuga, in an interview, described it as a breach of the law and an illegal undertaking. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC has threatened to shut down its services all over the country if Labour members are attacked during its planned two-day protest beginning February 27, 2024. The Labour, in a statement on Sunday signed by its President Joe Ajaero, said there is no going back on the planned industrial action. The NLC said the federal government must put on its thinking cap and implement its agreements with the organized labor, as well as address the mounting economic crisis of survival in Nigeria. Nigeria is battling rising inflation, food inflation, forex crisis, economic hardship, and high cost of living occasioned by the removal of petrol subsidy, attracting protests in parts of the country. Despite subtle pressure from the government for the group not to embark on a planned strike, the NLC said its members wouldn't be called to shelve their proposed nationwide protest. Labour also raised the alarm that plans have been perfected to attack planned peaceful rallies across the country.
Comrades, good afternoon. Our mission is very simple and direct. The National Executive Council of the Nigerian Labour Congress met this morning, and after deliberation on state of the nation and non-implementation of the agreement reached with government, the NEC in session considered the unfortunate state of the nation, food suffering pervading the nation, the general crisis of living, the outrage expressed by majority, and the increased attendant fears of the continued consequences of these policies and the persistent refusal of the government to implement the tenets of the October agreement. The NEC in session also took notice of the wise decision of the National Administrative Council of the Congress to demand that the agreement be implemented. To this end, NEC unanimously noted its deep disappointment and condemned the actions of the federal government in refusing to implement the agreements and reached the following decisions. That it stands on the ratify the 14-day ultimatum issued to the federal government within which to implement the agreement and address the mounting crisis of survival by Nigerians. That the notice expires on the midnight of Thursday, the 22nd day of February 2024. That if on the expiration Congress is not satisfied with government's compliance with the conditions of the notice, Congress will be at liberty to take action that will compel government to implement the agreement. But NEC in session declares a two-day national protest on 27th and 28th of February to demonstrate outrage on the mounting hardship and insecurity around the nation. If our demands are not met after the nationwide protest, to issue a 7-day notice that will expire on the 2nd day of March 2024 to the federal government, after which an indefinite nationwide strike will ensure that Nigerian workers and people are not interested in the empty talk now, but action. So we call on all our affiliates, state councils, and civil society allies to start mobilizing across the nation for effective action as the February 22 approaches. In this light, the urgency of the situation and continued suffering the Nigerian people and workers have faced, NEC session calls for immediate action from federal government to ratify these grievances and restore faith in the democratic process and social dialogue. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen of the press, you heard it loud and clear. Yes. The 14 days of submission end
22nd. Yes.
The protest when?
28.
And that is the trial one. The warning one.
Any further clarification?
There is another question, sir.
Then Friday.
What is the NLC proposing as minimum wage? Because there have been so many stories online. Some say NLC proposing 1 million, some say 100,000.
It's not within the context of this briefing. Let's keep ourselves. If you want exclusive on that, we can give it. We have not briefed anybody on the minimum wage.
So
on
the
this.
stories online are false.
The stories online could be independent stories. So the issue of 1 million you are hearing was in response of the questions raised. And it is a continuous one. If the Nigeria Naira continues to depreciate, 1 million Naira will be a child's play to the minimum wage. So today we are talking of about 1,500, 1,600. So if it continues that way, 1 million Naira will be too small for the worker. Does that not make sense? You know, why are we scared when we say pay a worker 1 million? When those in National Assembly are collecting 16, 17, 30 million. So why are we so discriminatory if you hear 1 million for a worker? So if somebody can collect 15, 16 million for a job, not even commensurate to the job that the worker is doing, why can't a worker get 1 million? In a situation whereby you need a bag full of Naira to get a handful of goods. So let nobody be scared about that. Unless it is checked, the demand will have no end. And the minimum wage, we're going to insist for the review to be annual. Or else if you collect any money and the value of the currency is changing per hour, it will not make any sense and it will be illogical, you know, to return that amount for the next 4 or 5 years. So these are dynamics of the negotiation. And it's good I made this clarification.
Okay, sir. I will respond to Nanuga's statement that government cannot pay up to 100,000.
Well, we are not negotiating with him. Because they are agent provocateurs, people who have taken it as their duty to pauperize the Nigerian people. There are sadists in and around government. So we don't respond to such people.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Finally, on the news, civil society organizations under the aegis of Lagos People's Assembly in conjunction with Defend Lagos Coalition has appealed to the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) to further engage the federal government in dialogue to resolve the disagreement over the solutions to economic hardship in the country rather than protesting. Addressing the press in Lagos, the spokesperson of the CSO Group's Nelson Ikujimi, in company of other leaders Gbenga Suluki, Dayo Bulano, Ajayi Popola, said going on mass protests could worsen the situation in the country. The NLC had decided to embark on mass protests between February 27 and 28, 2024 to press Omi's demand from the federal government. Meanwhile, an aegis of civil society groups in Lagos State on Monday morning trooped out in protest over the economic hardship in the country. More details on that later. Stay with us. For more updates, do subscribe and turn on your notification bell. Okoyemi Olugbemi reporting. Thanks for watching.